Welcome to the OFX podcast. I'm Dave Claxton, and along with me is our resident RX1 rookie racer, Bethany McChesney.
Yep.
And we'll go through the RX1 in a bit. I mean, that'll be like 90% of what we talk about, but there was some stuff that just happened. I don't know if you saw this, but OCR is apparently in the Olympics.
Okay, I saw this, but it was only quick highlights. And all I saw was that due to animal rights activists, they're taking all of the equestrian sports out of the Olympics, and we're going to add in OCR. But I didn't understand what it looked like.
So I don't think they've said what it looked like. They've said, so I guess the governing body that governs pentathlon, what's going to happen is they're going to take the equestrian part of modern pentathlon. Do you know what modern pentathlon is? Because you're a track girl. You should know this thing.
Pentathlon as in, okay, no.
I didn't know. I knew. Sounds like 5 events.
Yeah.
So essentially it's fencing, swimming, horse, equestrian riding, shooting, and running. I think like it appears to be like a cross country running. So due to, and essentially what it comes down to is, I guess at the last Olympics, a guy punched a horse.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And anyway, so they're removing the equestrian from the pentathlon and substituting the OCR.
So it's not an event in itself.
Exactly. So, I mean, lots of questions.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, that's not what I expected at all. Okay.
Yeah. So like all they've said is now they're going to do some testing as to what type of OCR to use. So the governing body has said, yes, they're doing it. Apparently most of the athletes are very upset about this.
Why?
Well, I kind of get it. And being as a guy who did horseback riding for many years, to put that much time and effort, and I mean, you know what it takes to get to the Olympics, the kind of discipline you have to have, and then the kind of discipline you have to do 5 different events, essentially, completely different events. So it's not even like the decathlon where it's all, kind of
track.
Yeah, these are like way all over the place.
Yeah.
So the amount of time it takes to actually get really good at stadium jumping, horses is at that kind of level is really difficult. And now all of a sudden you're going to say, okay, well, we're not doing that anymore. Now, if you want to still be in the pentathlon, you have to learn to do OCR instead. All that time doing the horsemanship, gone.
And you have to think about the financial investments involved with the horse.
Yeah, well, hopefully they can sell them off because maybe they'll make some money.
Yeah. So if like in that situation though, I like it because one of my biggest issues with events like that is your limiting factor is money.
Yeah.
So if you're opening it up then to people who don't have the money for a Olympic level horse. Well,
actually, I think, and I could be wrong on this, somebody told me that they're actually provided with the horses, so they have to ride a different horse. So it's not.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't know. It's. I can be honest, it almost sounds Spartan Gamesy when I started.
Yeah.
I hear about this pentathlon, but anyway, the thing
is funny that I don't really understand this modern pentathlon thing in the Olympics. Like I studied Olympic history in university, and
did you pass?
Yeah, but this is new information to me.
So modern pentathlon started in 1912. Or sorry, yeah.
And it still happens now.
Yep.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I mean,
maybe I skipped that part of the textbook.
So I don't know, and I'm reading the distances and stuff, and it used to be cross country riding, and then it went to stadium jump. I don't know. It seems like a lot of, and then now there's shooting with pistols, but then it seems the running also has shooting with laser guns.
What?
Yeah. Okay. So one of the things that jumps out first to me is if there is like a cross country style running, that kind of means that like an OCR, say, regular, as we would think, like a Spartan style race, right? Like I'm reading here, running could be around 3.2 kilometers or something like that. Anyway, our regular style OCR race doesn't seem to mix because it's just the same thing.
Yeah.
You know, so my guess, if I was to go out there and guess, is that it would be more likely to be like a 400-meter sprint OCR, almost military style, nothing super technical, walls, balance, crawls, maybe a rope climb, maybe some monkey bars, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So is this like a step in the right direction? Or is it something that maybe precludes OCR from getting its own bid in the Olympics because it's on with this?
So every once in a while, the Olympics tries these spectator friendly events to see how they take off. So let's say that this part is added into the modern pentathlon and it gets really good response, then maybe we can continue to have its exposure in the Olympics. Like this is what they did with rock climbing in the last Olympics. Only like rock climbers obviously had a problem with the format with having to do all three disciplines, but ultimately it was, again, it's a super spectator friendly event. Yeah. So, and they did this with skateboarding also. So they kind of wanted to see, because some of the Olympic events aren't super spectator friendly. And some of them are very based on history and what started with the Olympics. So I do think this is a step in the right direction. Because I think OCR, if you're talking about that short course format, is extremely spectator friendly.
Yeah, it's fast. It's really fast and exciting. And actually, I think I agree. If they do go that way, that would be a good thing. Because I think if they went right in and threw in like a 15K Spartan race, everybody would be like, oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
It would be it's just too long and too, they already got a marathon.
Right. And a 50K race walk.
And there's so many sports in the Olympics that I'm like, these are amazing athletes.
Yeah.
Stupid sports.
Yes. Yeah.
Race walking, sorry, can't tolerate. It's just.
Yeah, it's like it's whispering as loud as you can.
We're gonna have a race, but don't go too fast.
But with that being said, and we've talked about this before, race walkers go ridiculously fast.
Yeah, it's nuts.
Yeah, faster than the average person can run for sure. So it is remarkable what they're capable of. It's just odd. It's doing something that's slower as fast as you can when you could be doing something faster.
I'm trying to think of a comparison and I've got nothing.
Besides my whispering analogy.
That's a good one. It's like drag racing in first gear only. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I don't know. But they're great. They're great athletes. I mean,
oh, phenomenal.
And I always think like rhythmic gymnastics, amazing athletes. Just
yeah. Or I was talking about ski dancing recently.
I remember that. Is that still a thing?
No, it's not a thing. It was very short-lived. Maybe 1 or 2 Olympics, again, as a spectacle type thing. But yeah, you're dancing on the skis.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember seeing that going, what the hell is this? And then I think just the other day I saw it on TV, like as a clip from some games way back when, it might even have been like a Calgary games or something like that. And I was just like, oh, God, I remember that. That was so bad.
Yeah.
Funny thing is, there's a lot of people getting paid a lot of money to make these decisions, and this is what they're coming up with.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Rock climbing, I think, is a great ad. I love that speed climbing. That's exciting.
Speed climbing is exciting. It's just difficult for climbers because you're talking about 3 totally different disciplines.
Yeah, and they should allow them to set it up because I just want to see the fastest climber climb. I've always made that kind of thing too with like, and now I'm off topic, the all-star games in like hockey.
Yeah.
You know how you get like, they go in
skills competitions.
Yeah, the skills competition.
Yeah.
But it's the fastest of the guys who are there. Well, I don't want to see that. I want each team to have their own little skills competition. I want to know who is really the fastest, who really has the hardest shot. Because it could be somebody who really isn't very good, but has that one skill set.
Yeah.
want to see. So I don't know. So when it comes to the sport climbing, I don't want to see the most, or the speed climbing, I don't want to see the most well-rounded climber. I just want to see the dude who can fly up that course the fastest.
Right. Yeah.
That'd be good. So anyway, did you see Joe DeSena's reaction to all this?
I only saw the 10-second clip that came out on Obstacle Racing Media.
Yeah. I don't know. It's typical Joe. Like it's, I know he doesn't directly say this, but it's almost like trying to have Spartan take credit for it.
Oh, yeah. Well, I would worry if Joe had too much of a say in how this goes down.
None. Zero.
Yeah.
I don't think he's got any say. Honestly, this is, I think, mostly Ian Adamson's group, World OCR.
Okay.
And because they are actually working on trying to, they built a governing body. They've built sub-governing bodies in different countries. And so I'd imagine it has to go through him. And if you read the article, that actually says they are looking into formats provided by World OCR. So,
okay.
I know World OCR has a 100-meter standard race that they do. They do have. I don't know that they have the 400, but when I look at the 100-meter, I mean, maybe they'll institute that. It is fast. It is good to watch. It's not overly complicated, but I still look at it as people who have trained for pentathlon have trained these specific skill sets.
Right.
Where you're just completely changing one. So I don't know, if I was a pentathlon person, I'd be ticked.
Oh yeah. I mean, you're introducing an entirely new discipline, but as far as the obstacle course race goes, it's going to have to be extremely standardized. Like everything in the Olympics is so standardized, and everything down to the millimeter of how everything goes. So, which doesn't typically follow the ethos of something like Spartan, where it's like throw random things at them and don't follow regulations as far as the temperatures. People could die if they're submerged in cold water. Just throw it all at them.
Not that we're better.
Yeah, so it's going to be completely different than something like.
So I have seen World OCR's actual standards for their 100-meter course, and it includes diameters of monkey bars. It includes the distance things have to be built by. It's like a blueprint sketch, or a blueprint, building blueprint. So they could be going with that, or they could just spread those same obstacles out over 400 meters or something along that line. That would be what I expect. So,
me too. It'll be extremely standardized like that if it's going to be an Olympic sport, for sure.
Yeah, and I don't expect it to be very technical, but like I say, maybe it's a start, maybe it's something. Don't expect to see Atkins or Lindsay or any of the people we know in it, because, well, I don't know how they are at fencing and shooting and all that other stuff that you need to be, but not horseback riding, because that's gone.
Yeah, but who knows with Ryan Atkins, right?
I suppose it's possible.
He has 6 years to figure this out.
That's true. That's true. Yeah.
If going to the Olympics is his aspiration.
Isn't it every athlete's?
Not necessarily. Olympics is extremely political.
Oh, It is. Well, I mean, we talked about it before, right? Like, just it's become very tainted and hard to. Doesn't have that innocent feel that you would think it once did.
Yeah, especially over the last 4 years or so.
Yeah. All right, one more thing I wanted to say before we go into RX1. High Rocks London went off. That was the last qualifying event for Worlds.
Yeah.
David Magida flew out there to give it one last shot and sadly come up a little short. Disappointed. Always, big fan of Dave's and wish he had made it. And
yeah, but good for him though. He threw all his cards in, did a quick, really, really quick turnaround, 48 hours in London, dropped down, raced as best he could. So good for him.
And he's a dad. He's done it all as a dad. Moms get all the credit. Dads rock.
A new dad. Yeah.
That's right. So
Yeah, good for him.
I guess what we can read off here, and I will say this is the final. I
Yeah.
believe this is what Hyrox has listed as the final 15 for each. So for the women, we have Miriam Von Rohr, Viola Oberlander, Lauren Weeks, Rebecca Nathier, Sarah Colte, Tara Jackson, Linda Muir, Rachel Vondrack, Alundra Greenlee, Alyssa Hawley, Sabrina Rothig, Chris Roglowski, Beatrice Ardelt, Anna Blank, and Jania Menzel. So there's some different changes in there. Like Chris Roglowski was off and now she's in.
So
Rachel's still there. Rachel Vondrack, she's in 8th. And
oh, sorry. Her other last name.
Schreiber.
Okay. I was listening for the last name. Okay.
Yeah, Rachel Vondrack. So then for the men, we have Hunter McIntyre, Ryan Kent, Tim Winchnicks, Alexander Ronkovic, Dominic Malzahn, Jeffrey Voisin, Thomas Dverdick, Peter Schiller, Olger Corner, Dylan Scott, Tom Hogan. Tom Hogan just recently got in. That's good. Dietrich Schwarzkopf, Cole Schwartz, Martin Misilius, and Michael Sandbach was just added as well.
From the London event.
Well, no. You notice there was a name missing there, right? For the men, did you notice?
Well, Tobias.
So I think Michael Sandbach, he had a previous time that was faster than his London event. I believe it was a Manchester event or whatever. So either way, Michael Sandbach is in. So, and Michael Sandbach is famous for that wall ball, I'm out of here thing.
Yeah. What, he quit at like 80 reps or something?
As he put it, it was like the ultimate race brain. He just, he doesn't even know why he did it. He just stopped and walked away. Shiny object in the corner, off I go. He has no idea. But
I'll never understand that.
So I'm sure he's pretty happy that he got redemption and he's getting to go to Vegas. So hopefully all those people go to Vegas, because I don't think they're doing any more roll downs. And here's the thing. What is it, like 2 weeks to Vegas and they just finalize who's going?
Yeah.
That's too short. You need longer, I think.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they can say, well, these people who are trying to get in are trying to get in. That's great. But what about the people who have prepared and bought plane tickets and all of a sudden they get bumped by someone on the last day, and then 2 weeks away? Then what are they supposed to do?
Right. Yeah.
I think you got to give them at least a month.
I agree. Yeah. With flights and travel plans and everything. These aren't really high, like for the most part, these aren't athletes who have their sponsors covering all these things too. So this is a new sport. So that's tough for people. Yeah.
So I think that, like I said, 1 month would be good. And it definitely is something they should reconsider. But I mean, I think they got to reconsider the whole qualification process for this thing anyway. So hopefully they change that up next year. Yeah. Because it's clear a Hyrox is not a Hyrox is not a Hyrox. They're not all the same. So there's got to be a better way.
Right.
And hopefully we'll find it. So RX1, here it is. There we go. I'm wearing my extremely large RX1 shirt.
Mine's still being washed, but
all right. So do you want to start with like your experience going through it? Because this was your first RX1. And I mean, yeah, I consider this one of the main 3 hybrid races. You know, I know people down south don't get it, but to me, this thing is just as good.
Yeah, well, and like we interviewed them a while ago, and they've been around for 10 years now. Mm-hmm. So one of the original functional fitness races. Yeah, so I've been really looking forward to doing one for a long time. It's much more geared towards how I train anyways, doing most of my training in a gym, not living near mountains or even really technical trails. So this was a much easier type of event for me to train for. I was really excited about the variant in the workout itself. So not really knowing what you're coming into. Yeah, so this event was, it wasn't super long, which was good because again, it's my reintroduction into racing. It's been almost 2 years now. So it went really well for me. So I signed up. So the cool thing about RX1 is there's the different levels. So anybody could really compete because you just kind of plant yourself where you belong. So I competed as an expert, and the workout itself definitely was geared towards my strengths. Well, more not geared towards my weaknesses, I should say. They missed some of the things that I wasn't very good at. The run portion was kind of short. It was only 3K, and it could be up to 5K. Sorry, 8K. They give that range, 3 to 8K. But the workout movements themselves were super fun. A lot of just functional movement stuff. So things like your wheelbarrow, which was pretty heavy, walking lunges with an overhead hold, like running with a heavy med ball, snatches, rowing, kettlebell stuff, toes to bar. So all the stuff that I do on a regular basis. With my division, there was multiple heats. Faster girls kind of were planted in the first heat. So I just kind of had to time trial it, which originally when I heard that, I was okay with it because, again, the pressure of coming back into competition. And then, so I didn't really have to worry about what was going on. I just kind of do the best that I can and hope that it's good enough. Yeah. And then I gave it my best go. I ended up finishing second, 40 seconds behind the first place girl who would have been in the first heat. And I was completely happy with that. It was a fantastic competition. There was a lot of barbell stuff, which I never do. I actually bought a barbell a week before the competition and practiced the movement patterns. And not that I'm unfamiliar to them, because I do all the same types of movements with kettlebells. I just prefer kettlebell movements over the barbell. But the weights were more on the heavier side for me, but I really, really enjoyed the atmosphere. I would definitely want to do one again.
So what was funny to me was, like, obviously you should have been in the first heat, and had I made some calls, I'm sure that would have happened.
Mm-hmm.
But I, got in hindsight thinking that, would it have been better? Would it not have been better? Because, you wanted to go in there just kind of as a rust buster and just to get back into it. And if you had been in that first heat, it would have been, death. You would have pushed to the end of the limits to keep up, right?
Yeah.
I loved your beginning. It's like, okay, take it easy. Just, we're gonna run. Starts out with a 3K. We're gonna go real easy. Like 50 meters in, you had a 30-meter lead. Yeah, take it easy, Beth. Just sit back on it, idiot.
Yeah. I was like, so the 3000 was my event in university, and it starts off with a 3000 on a flat road out and back. So I was like really trying to control my excitement. And yeah, so I just got super giddy about it, and I was like, don't go faster than a 4-minute kilometer. Don't go faster than a 4-minute kilometer. And yeah, by the 500-meter mark, I was cruising at 340s. I was like, okay, you need to calm down here.
I love it. At the end of the run, you come back and you couldn't even see the other girl. And I was like, somebody's like, is she running alone? I'm like, yeah, pretty much. I don't know, doing her own thing.
Yeah. But it's also been so long since I've done like a flat and fast race. So it was just, I was super excited about that part. Probably too excited.
Do you know what was interesting to me too about the run? And when we talk about like high rocks, the run is still predominantly the most important thing, right? Yeah. Becoming a better runner, it makes you better at high rocks. Yeah. For this particular course we had, you didn't need to be a great runner to be good at it. Because I mean, even if you let's say you're running, like you say, the difference between a 4 and a 4:30. So you're coming in, yeah, you'd be a monstrously faster runner, but right. You're still a minute and a half lead. And the way the rest of that course is set up, that can get ate up really quickly, like right. Sometimes in 2 stations.
Yeah.
Like once you hit those walking lunges, and both of us, like for me, that was the hardest one, was those walking lunges. Mm-hmm. I know I was in good position going there, and I lost a lot of time, and then I had to make it back up.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
For me, it was just the breaks I needed to take with the barbell movements. And again, being a good runner over like a decent runner, the difference in a 3K, you're maybe 90 seconds. So that easily could be eaten up with just not breaking as much with the barbell movements.
oh yeah. And then like even on the rowers, there was just so many opportunities that if you weren't a great runner to still make it up, because it was the layout often. And if I was telling someone, you're going to train for this, how am I going to delegate my time to train for this race? It's not going to be 90% running to shave 30 seconds off your run, because it's not going to matter as much as it would be to get better at your cleans or at your functional strength, because it's going to eat up way more time. You're almost better to be a better rower, but I just like the way it was dealt around the whole way, and everything was like that. So might as well just go through I'll go through the complete layout of the course anyway, but your 3,000 meter run, essentially 100 meter with the wheelbarrow. So they call it a transformer. Anyway, but it's essentially a big metal wheelbarrow. For me, had the wheelbarrow itself is probably 50-60 pounds, and I had 150 pounds added on it. And yeah, it's a good grip test.
It was pretty heavy, to be honest. I was a bit shocked, actually. And the weight was close to the handles.
Yeah, it was a heavy lift. Then from there, we went into those walking lunges, which were just dreaded. I mean, you figure about 75 meters, was it?
Yeah, probably.
75 meters. And for me, a 35-pound dumbbell single arm overhead, which I have never done. And it showed.
Which is kind of odd that you've never done that, but
I don't do that. It's just not something. I will do it in the future. Fine. I'm gonna start doing it. but I just don't do it. I never have. I've done tons of lunges with like 100 pounds on the back and 80-pound sandbags or the water bag I have.
It's the lockout position.
Yeah. Exactly. And so it was difficult. The one thing though, and I haven't decided how I feel about this, but they did allow the duck walking.
I think it's just because it's so hard to call people on a hip lockout at the top.
So
it's like just allowing it all, because, and it's not like the duck walk destroys your quads.
It does. I thought it was all right. I was all right with doing it, because all right with allowing it, like you say, because it stops bad judging. It stops judging controversy. All right, what are you going to do? Hold that thing above your head. And you didn't have to be full lockout arm. You just had to stay above your head.
Yeah.
And I liked it because it wasn't, that was killer. So after that one, we had just that carrying of the essentially a dead ball or a med ball or whatever, which I mean, it was a recovery. 100 meters, 100-meter run. I had 50-pound ball. I don't know what yours was, 40. So 100-meter run with that, then probably another 100-meter run from there to the walking cleans, which I thought was kind of an interesting idea.
It was hard for me. The barbell to me was on the heavier side. And having to carry it in the rack position in between all of the cleans. So you went 5 meters between every clean for 100 meters. I really felt it on my back. But again, I don't use barbells. I do carry heavy weights in the rack position often in my training, but still not that amount. But then dropping it all and then cleaning it again, to me, just it's the weight and the repetitive clean motion just really jacked up my back.
I didn't mind this one, but I think I was too conservative. I think I would do like whatever, probably 4 steps and then take a little break and then do 4 steps and then take a little break. And I kind of planned it out that way. And afterwards, I'm like, I didn't need to do that. I could have just kept going. By the way, shall we say like hats off to Riley, because she smoked that one.
Yes, she did. Yeah.
And she's over here grinning because she's like, I killed that. But I think you're right. She got the lighter bar. She got a hollow shaft and cheated. She obviously cheated. But I mean, the weights on them were like you say on the heavy side. Because I'm not sure. I mean, it's not like CrossFit heavy, right? So
no.
The expert division is not CrossFit heavy, but like mine was 110 pounds.
Yeah.
Sorry, 105 pounds.
Mhm.
And yours was like 75 or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not the first 5 or 6 was not heavy. It's not, it was the accumulation again. You're holding it, cleaning it, holding it, cleaning it. And I think it was 22 cleans in total because you had to pick it up on each end.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, so it wasn't it
20.
was just the accumulation. And you're like 20 minutes into the event, 25 minutes. So
And I had a traffic accident during it.
yeah, you
I did. I
did,
actually had a traffic accident. And you know what's funny? I kind of thought, hey, my bar is going to hit that guy's bar, and did nothing about it.
So, and was it you that said to me, make sure you pick a bar so that you don't have to move away from somebody?
No, I didn't. I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
Because I actually ended up crisscrossing sides. I was on one side.
Yeah. So then when you're trying to like maneuver around people with a big barbell with 100 pounds.
So after that was 40 calorie row for me. Was it 40 for you?
30.
30. I'd never done my rows by calories.
Oh.
No, so I always did it by meters, right? So I had no clue how long 40 calories was or what to expect. All I knew was I figured it's going to be in the 2 to 3 minute area was my guess.
Right. Yeah.
And I just figured I'd just take it easy. I use that as a recovery, and that's what I did. And luckily for me, rowing is a decent thing for me. And I just recovered and yet still made up time. So I was pretty happy with that. After that too was then, I guess you'd call them single arm hang snatches.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was light. I thought that one probably was too light.
And dumbbell hang snatches. Yeah, it was light.
Yeah, because mine was only 35 pounds.
And I had 25. I could cycle that weight all day.
Yeah. And I mean, it was 40 reps, which is a lot, but yeah. I mean, yeah, same for me, like 35. I was expecting for that one to have like 50. I thought would be the weight for that. Either way, that was fairly easy. And then American kettlebell swings. So I never done those either.
I never do American swings either.
Okay, so superstar trainer girl. What is the, like, I got it for competition wise. I understand the benefit because that's an easier judge, right? Biceps go to the ears, it's a full rep.
It's easier, yeah.
Why do them in training?
I don't really know. And all I know, yeah, it's easier for competition because it's easier to score. So that is typically what they do in CrossFit competitions. I know sometimes, so I've also heard to generally try to avoid them too much because you can deal with shoulder impingements from this position. So really the swing is about that power hip extension. So if that's what you're focusing on, coming up to shoulder height is really all you need. Yeah. So this is just like the extra. So the benefits of the kettlebell swing really come from the hip hinge, which then it's really only necessary to come to shoulder height. So that's kind of why I do kettlebell swings the way I do.
I watched my video of that after, and yeah, wasn't great form. I was not using enough hip.
You did too much of a squat with it.
Yeah. So I mean, but still, I mean, it wasn't hard. It wasn't difficult. Weight for that was 44 pounds for me. So it wasn't difficult or anything, but it was still, I definitely, that's something I can work on some form with and get better at. From there, we went to toes to bar. And this is, at this point was when I started to realize, and thankful for all that I do, is this was getting very grip intensive.
Yeah. So the wheelbarrow, then your racked cleans, rowing, snatches, swings, you're all jacking up your grip, and then you do toes to bar.
Yeah. And so it was 30 reps. I think it was 30 reps.
Yeah.
30 reps. So I broke it up and I did like 5s and whatever, quick breaks. Again, could I push further on that? Yeah, but I knew there was things coming up that I was not good at, and I wanted to be fresh enough. And after my experience last year where I completely burnt out and bonked, that was my big fear this time. And I went into it saying, I'm not gonna do that again.
Yeah.
And I didn't. But yeah, so broke up toes to bar. I love the toes to bar. I noticed in yours, there was like traffic jam at the Toaster Bar.
So I think this is where the heats started to really collide.
Yeah.
So the second heat girls were kind of catching up to the third heat. I had kind of worked my way into the middle of the heat in front of me. And when I was doing my swings, I was kind of watching, and I was like, there's not really a bar available if I get any faster right now. And they, like, by the time I got there, it was fine. But that was the only instance where I thought maybe there could be a little bit more space between the heats, especially in this event where it wasn't super long. But yeah, it was a little bit of a traffic jam.
Yeah, I was saying, and they were everywhere. And there was like, obviously, people had very skill level.
And when I started, I hit feet with a girl behind me. So then I had to turn
your
around.
traffic accident too.
Yeah.
I didn't get to see that, but that's good. So the Toaster Bar, again, fairly self-forward. After that, I believe we went to 30 hand release or 30 deficit push-ups.
Deficit, yeah. Chest to the ground, yeah.
And I was salivating on that one. I'm like, okay, let's go. Here we go. No problem. Bang, bang, bang. Did those, and then sit-ups afterwards. And again, I was just like, oh, okay.
That's recovery.
Great. This is. I'm going to recover and I'm going to pass people at the same time with sit-ups. Mm-hmm. So those are nice, and yeah, it was like you say, recovery, I think.
Yeah.
And then we were
for everybody, I'm assuming.
Yeah. Well, I know a lot of people still struggle with push-ups. Like, and when you're doing.
I struggle with push-ups. I mean sit-ups.
Oh, sit-ups.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're doing. And 30 push-ups, I mean, that's a decent amount of reps, but 30 sit-ups was just, I didn't feel it. Like,
no.
So then we went to box jumps. And I got shafted. I had to do 30-inch box jumps. What was up with that?
Why is that shafting?
Because you guys all got less. Pros were no higher, so I got shafted. Anyway, didn't matter. I was successful in my box jumps. I'll leave it at that. They weren't as fast as they should be, but I've maintained that I do not jump well, but I still got through. How many was it? Was it 20 or 30?
30.
30? Yeah, we did have 30.
20.
20?
20.
Whatever.
They were part of the last set, which were 20s.
It was 90. Yeah, 20 box jumps, 30-inch for me, 24 for you, and we did have to box jump, no step overs.
Yeah.
You looked really comfortable on those.
I do box jumps a lot. Remember, I'm short, on the shorter end of the spectrum, so I always have to be able to jump. So I do a lot of box jumps. And
you do really well at keeping that low, that nice tight lowness, right? No full stand up, just keep low and hop over.
You just slide around, step down, slide around. Yeah.
And I'm gonna doff my cap to Sebastian Heward, who I think had the best box jumps on the day.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was the only one I saw doing sideways rebounding box jumps on the 24-inch box.
Oh, side.
24. He was an intermediate. 24. So yeah, side to side doing the rebound box jump. He looked awesome, and he the whole way never slowed down a bit.
Good for him. Wow.
He did great. I don't know how he did the rest. I don't know if he podiumed or not, but Sebastian Heward, great guy, and also helps me with a lot of translations. So really appreciate it. So after that then was the part where and for me, with all those things that I actually was pretty good at, I had gotten into second place going into the final 20 squat cleans, 20 push press shoulder overhead. And these, again, I had never done a squat clean until I saw the workout come out and it said we're going to have to do squat cleans. So I tried like 10. So at the event, I tripled. I did 300% more or 200% more squat cleans than I had done my entire life. So really, that being considered, I think I did remarkably well.
You did, yeah. But your main competitor looked like he did them in his sleep.
He was born under a bar. What was it? Benoit Brisset, I am coming for you. Yeah, I think going into that, I probably had a 5 or 6 rep lead And
Yeah, at least.
yeah, it might have been more. And by the time we got done the squat cleans, we were even keel going
Yeah.
to the push press, and he just cycled through it faster than me. And as soon as I saw that was happening, I just went, all right, fourth place is way back there.
Yeah.
Second has sailed. I'm just gonna coast
Mhm.
through this until I'm done. So
Mhm.
but I got my shiny medal, my shiny little medal here, which I haven't put on my rack yet. That is my first RX1 podium medal, and it is in the expert division, which, Bethany, is the same division you did, which means I'm amazing.
You did fantastic.
I like to call it adequate. No, I was very happy with my performance, considering there was a lot of movements in there that I do not do. I do not train, especially the barbell work. I was not, I knew they did barbell work and I could have prepared, but I did not.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was really happy with that. And yeah, I mean, for you, Rust Buster, at the end of it, how does it feel like?
I felt really good after. So I've struggled with injury a lot over the last 2 years. And again, without races, you wouldn't really necessarily know what I had missed out on or not, because there wasn't really anything to miss out on. But coming back this year, there's a lot of nerves and almost like mistrust with your body because you haven't really competed in so long. And I've only really had completely pain-free running in the last month. So again, like coming out of the starting gates with a fast 3K, I was really worried about waking up the next day and having that pain again in my Achilles. And even with box jumps and like rowing aggravates it. So would aggravate it in the past. So I was like, I just don't want to wake up with pain the next day. And I want to be able to push myself. I also know in competition, I don't notice things. And I would also push through things if they flared up. And the whole time, I felt really good. Like the only pain was just fatigue. So finishing it with like nothing hurt in the wrong ways. And I was just able to push my body to the max and challenge myself. And it was a lot of, like I said, I was in the last heat, so it was me versus me, and you just kind of get into your zone. And I just loved it. And waking up the next day, my body was thoroughly exhausted and all kinds of pain, but not the wrong kinds of pain. So that made me really happy.
And nothing is better for all sorts of pain than a 7-hour car ride, maybe 8 hours for you.
It was a long car ride for me. But yeah, every time we took a break and stepped out of the car, it was like you grab all sides of the car, step down. You hope you don't have to walk up any stairs.
I rode so before I even said we went with 7 people, our little group, 7 competitors, and we took 3 podium medals. So I think that's pretty good. And 1 narrow miss.
Yeah, 4th place.
So close. Next time she'll get it.
Yeah.
Well, I went back in the back of a Jeep, and yes, modern Jeeps are much nicer. Like I had a Jeep back in '95, I think it was, and it was rough. Modern Jeeps are much nicer, but they still wander all over the road, and the back seats are still not great. And it was okay, but getting out of it, they have that like small door there, and you got to kind of scrunch your knees together to slide out. It's like that was a bit sore. That was a bit rough on that one, but it was good. And thank you, John Cross, for driving. All the driving you did through great Montreal traffic. That was the worst.
Yeah, a 90-minute ride to the hotel, which could be 10 minutes if it weren't for road closures.
Yeah, in all honesty, we were 15 from the hotel to the event, and we were 90 minutes from the event to the hotel.
Yeah.
That's nasty. That is not great. All in all, like I said, I'll go on about RX1 forever and how much I love it, how much I think it's great and stuff, but it's not perfect. And there were some issues that I noticed. Number one, going to be right off the bat, is there's not enough shirts. right? Like some people I know, some of our group actually use their shirts from last year. The reason my shirt is massive is because that's all they had left.
Yeah. So, and with RX1, you have to compete in the shirt.
That's right.
So that's an important point. Yeah.
Now you can modify said shirt with many scissor cuts, so you can make your crop top if you like. Because you'll see mine, I cut the sleeves off mine and everything. But when I say there wasn't enough shirts, that's true. However, if you registered early, then you actually could get a shirt with your name on it, and it would be there to pick up. So part of that not enough shirt is because we registered very late, and part of it is because they just should have more shirts. Another issue I had, and I guess this was a choice, I didn't realize this, but not everybody got a medal. Just podiums got a medal. When on my previous experience, the races I've done at that point, it was everybody got the medal, but they said last year that in the finals, yes, everybody gets a medal for the finals on August 13th, but for the regular races, no, it's not an everybody get a medal thing. So that was just maybe I didn't know. And then another issue I had, and I'm sure I mean, we saw this a lot, was judging. Not so, I mean, there was some inconsistencies, but no more than anywhere else, and actually probably much less than other places, but a lack thereof for the judges. And where that is partly on RX1, I mean, I'm going to sit right here and say, hey, you know what? I didn't step up that day. Normally I step up and volunteer for stuff, and I didn't. So I'm not going to take all the blame, but I'm just going to say, you know, if I'm going to bitch about judging, then I need to step up. And on the next one, I will definitely volunteer to do some judging my part.
Yeah.
One other thing, do you think maybe the heat should have been a little further apart?
The heats being spread out wouldn't be an issue if everybody was seated appropriately. So, but then because with RX1, the events itself are always varied. It's not like you can submit times, like you don't have an RX1 time. So the variability in the event to me is a positive because it's always new, but you don't have RX1 personal bests or RX1 world records. So 6 minutes would be totally fine if the fast heat was always the fast heat. So yeah, there was a bit of overlap. I don't really know if I saw it was ever really a problem though. So it was probably fine at 6 minutes.
No, I did, and I will say I'm going to contradict you there, because I did see in some of the intermediate, and especially because I was watching Riley, where it got to the point because of the overlap, that's where the judging issue came into play, because the judges were judging the heat in front, and then as the faster girls from the next heat got there was no one to judge them, and quite literally no one to count wraps. So
so the judging situation was the only part where there wasn't enough, but the equipment was fine.
And I will say I was really delighted to notice that I didn't notice anyone take advantage of that situation.
Yeah, agreed.
And that's really cool. I'm not saying nobody did. I'm just saying in the parts that I watched, nobody did. And I think that's really great and commendable to the community that does this event. So good for them. And then one other thing, and this might just be a lack of understanding on our part and a lost in translation, but the podiums were confusing as hell. And I thought I missed mine at first, and I didn't really know if I had a podium coming because I thought I came third, but I wasn't sure. And then I know our friend John Cross, who came second, he wasn't sure if he missed his. So, and then we were waiting for yours. So we were just constantly, so it could be a loss in translation because it is French. We're in their province, and it's our ignorance of the language that is the issue. But at the same time,
there was stuff being said on the loudspeakers the whole time. So they could have been saying, could have been announcing when awards were coming too. But it is nice to know if awards are going to be at certain times and you pay attention at those times. But the awards were definitely at random times when they had the information.
Yeah. And I think too, the sports stats site seemed to be having some issues as well.
Yeah.
So I mean, these are little nitpicking things. On
Right.
all, the event was really good. They put on a great show. Everybody
Yeah.
has a good time, and I mean, it was just a great race. I was exhausted. I was dead. I had fun.
Yeah.
We could barely get off the ground.
Yeah.
And that's
I
great.
loved it. And from a gym owner's perspective, this is something that would be so fantastic to bring your whole gym to, because of there's 4 different levels, so people can kind of compete where they belong. And there's even a junior level for high school kids. So it's something that could appeal to, again, the masses, and none of the movements were super complicated if you're outside of the pro levels. So it's something that would be for anybody. So to get a big group of people and go and have fun and do an RX1, it's perfect for something like that.
And even the pro level at this one, I thought it wasn't outrageous this time. I mean, the weights got higher. So, for example, the pro women would have done the exact thing I did, the same weights, same course, aside from, instead of the deficit push-ups, they would do handstand push-ups.
Mhm.
That was
Right.
the only difference. Pro men, I think their walking clean weight was, I think, 155. And that means their squat clean overhead weight would be just a bit lower than that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they weren't ludicrous, whereas I've seen some of the other pro events, they do some crazy, crazy stuff. So if you ever want to go pro for RX1, just be ready.
Yeah.
You know? I've been talking to Heather White and Tara Jackson and telling them about this and trying to convince. So I get anybody down there in the States, if you're enjoying High Rocks and DECA, keep enjoying it. They're amazing. Give this a try, man. It is worth the trip.
Yeah, I agree.
You know, we drove 7-8 hours to do it, and it was well worth it.
Oh yeah.
And the poutine after is the best celebration food.
Yeah.
So all in all, now that your ring rust's broken, and I know you're going to come back, because I think I said this to you, but I was so happy you didn't win. At first I thought you walked away with it, right? And I was like so happy you didn't win, because I'm like, okay, cool. Now she's going to be hungry and she'll want to do it again, rather than just, okay, well, that was easy. And then I figured you'd have yourself thinking, well, I'm a tweener. I can't do the pro, but the expert's too easy for me. So I thought it worked out really good. So now I know you've got something to chase.
In no way would I call that easy. But so when I finished, people were like, oh, I think you won. So I was like, okay, that's cool. But then to come 40 seconds short of first place when I didn't really know where she was at, then I was like, man, I wish I was just close. I wish I could see where she was at, because as much as it was nice being put into my first competition in 2 years and just kind of be able to be in my own place, I love that close back and forth competition, like where you're pushing like to that next level because you're that close. And for us to be 40 seconds apart and be in different heats means, like, if we were neck and neck, that probably would have been a super awesome battle. And that's one of the funnest things about competition. So in a way, I kind of felt like I missed out on that. So to come back, and this is the girl that won, is a girl that this is what she does, RX1.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would love to do another one and be in the mix with those girls, where I know exactly where they're at, and I know when I need to pick up the bar faster or do toast the bar faster or all the other things, just that little extra.
And see, my race was the first time I've actually had that in an RX1, where I've had like right side by side with the guy I know. I'm chasing this guy. This is the battle for a podium position. So I get what you mean. It was very fun to have, and I'm like I said, I'm going to remember that guy for the next one. You know? And that's a motivator. That's like, okay, I need to be better than Benoit. I need to be ready to take that, and to not have what happened last time. Because I mean, I should have had that second place, and my lack of experience and my lack of preparation is the reason I didn't.
Yeah.
Anyway, next one's coming up soon. But before that, and we'll talk about this a lot next week. Spartan Vermicombe, the start of Canadian Spartan season, and you're back on. What just quickly, what are you racing? Do you know yet?
So the super for sure on Saturday. And then I'm going to kind of see how I feel, and then possibly the sprint on the next day. I would like to do both, just again, getting back into racing, but like all of my efforts are going to be put into the super on the Saturday.
All right. And I will be there doing some coverage and some volunteering and refereeing, because we need referees. Spartan needs volunteers. We got to do our part. It should be very exciting. So hopefully we see everybody out there. Like I said, start of the Canadian season. Next week, we're going to talk more in depth about, like I said, the start of the season and what races are on the calendar, maybe who will be there, who won't be there, and as well as preview High Rocks Worlds, because that is coming. That's very exciting. We need to devote some time to that. So Beth, that's good for me today. I had an awesome weekend. That was an amazing race. And I think I have at least 2 more RX1s this year, maybe 3.
Oh, wow. Well, I'm banking on 1 more for me for sure.
All right. Well, I'm sure that those other 2 girls on the podium will be waiting for you. And by the way, you had the smallest podium ever.
I didn't feel outsized.
No, you were all so tiny. It was like a Hobbit podium. I just thought I was like, oh my God, they're all like, sometimes you talk about like body proportions and sizes for particular events. I'm like, is this the right one for this event? Because clearly it seems to be.
I have found my people.
You're all going to live in a small cutout fiberglass tree. Awesome. All right, Beth, we'll talk to you later.
Okay, bye.